Most drivers think the cooling system is simple. There's a reservoir under the hood with a min and max line. If the level's low, you fill it up, and that be. The answer is more complicated than most people realize, and the mistakes that come from treating it as simple are some of the most expensive engine repairs mechanics see. A cooling system done wrong doesn't announce itself immediately. It starts a slow, invisible process of corrosion, mineral buildup, and thermal stress that works quietly for months or years. By the time you notice something's wrong, the damage is already done and the repair bill reflects it. Today I'm going through every major cooling system top-off mistake, what's actually happening inside the engine when each one occurs, and exactly what to do instead. If you've ever grabbed a garden hose to top off the radiator or poured in whatever was on the shelf at the gas station, this is information you need. Let's start with the mistake that underlies all the others, because this one changes how you think about the entire cooling system. When the coolant level drops, most drivers treat it as routine maintenance, just fill it back up and move on. But here's what a healthy cooling system actually does. It keeps a consistent level for months without any addition required. If your level is dropping regularly, every week, every few weeks, there is a leak or a consumption problem somewhere in the system. The coolant isn't evaporating, it's going somewhere. A microscopic seep at a hose connection, a weeping water pump seal, a hairline crack in the radiator, or in a more serious scenario, coolant being burned through a failing head gasket. Topping off without investigating why the level dropped is treating the symptom while the actual problem continues to develop. That microscopic seep in a hose that you didn't investigate gets worse over time, not better. A cooling system that fails under pressure at highway speed is a completely different situation from the small leak you noticed in the driveway. The act of topping off isn't wrong. The mistake is doing it repeatedly without finding out where the coolant is going. Now let's talk about what most people grab when they need to top off, and this is the mistake that Motor One documented in an actual engine teardown of a Nissan KA24 that had been run on tap water. When mechanics pulled the head off, they found orange rust sludge throughout the cooling passages, mineral deposits on the spark plugs, and a failed head gasket, all from tap water in the cooling system. Not as a one-time emergency measure, but as a regular practice. Tap water seems harmless because it's drinkable, it's free, and it's always available. But what makes it safe too, drink makes it destructive to your engine. Tap water contains dissolved minerals, primarily calcium and magnesium, and in many regions chlorine and fluoride from municipal water treatment. When these minerals enter your cooling system and get repeatedly heated to 200 degrees Fahrenheit and above, they undergo a process called scaling. The minerals precipitate out of the water and bond to the metal surfaces of your radiator tubes, your heater core passages, the narrow coolant galleries in your cylinder head and engine block. The result is a layer of mineral scale on the inner surfaces of these passages, and scale is an insulator. According to engineering documentation from John's Auto Care, these minerals react with engine heat to form scale that acts as an insulator, trapping heat inside the engine and accelerating corrosion of aluminum parts. You have coolant in the system. The level looks fine, but the heat from combustion can't transfer efficiently from the metal to the coolant because there's a layer of mineral deposits between them. The engine runs hotter than it should, and you have no obvious indication that anything is wrong. The corrosion damage on the inside of the radiator, heater core, and engine block continues, building over time. Tiny passages get restricted. Flow rates drop. Eventually, the cooling system fails to maintain temperature under demanding conditions, highway driving, towing, summer heat, and you have an overheating event from a system that appeared to be full. Additionally, those dissolved minerals react with the additive package in your coolant. Zero Drive's Coolant Engineering documentation states it clearly. Coolant engineered to last 5 years can start behaving like it's 6 months old the moment it mixes with mineral-heavy tap water. The additives get consumed, neutralizing the mineral content instead of doing their actual job, protecting your engine. Your corrosion inhibitors deplete years ahead of schedule, Protection drops. Corrosion gets a head start. The correct liquid for mixing with concentrated antifreeze. Or for topping off the cooling system, when you don't have pre-mixed coolant available, is distilled water. Distilled water has had the minerals removed through the distillation process. It won't deposit scale. It won't react with your coolant's additive package. It costs about $1 a gallon at any grocery store. The difference between using distilled water and tap water seems negligible in the short term and enormous in the long term. The third mistake is one of the most dangerous. Dangerous to you physically and dangerous to the engine mechanically. Opening the radiator cap or the coolant reservoir cap when the engine is hot. This one has two separate and serious consequences that both happen at the same moment. Here's what's actually happening inside your cooling system while the engine is at operating temperature. The coolant is under pressure, typically 14 to 16 psi in a modern vehicle. At that pressure, the coolant can be heated well above its normal boiling point without boiling. When you crack open the cap, that pressure releases instantly. The coolant that was being held at 220 or 230 degrees Fahrenheit by system pressure suddenly has nothing containing it. It flashes to steam. The steam and superheated coolant that erupts from the opening can cause third-degree burns in seconds. This isn't a theoretical risk. It's a documented hazard that sends people to emergency rooms regularly. For the engine, the problem is thermal shock. Most modern engine components, cylinder heads, intake manifolds, thermostat housings, are made from aluminum. Aluminum expands significantly with heat and contracts significantly with cooling. When the engine is at operating temperature, the aluminum components are expanded. If you introduce coolant at room temperature into a system at 220 degrees, the metal in contact with the cold coolant contracts suddenly and violently while the surrounding metal is still expanded. The differential stresses this creates in the metal can produce hairline cracks, cracks that aren't visible to the naked eye but that allow combustion pressure to leak past the head gasket into the cooling system. This is how many head gasket failures actually begin. Not from age or mileage, but from thermal shock events during improper cooling system service. The rule is absolute and non-negotiable. Never open a cooling system cap on a hot engine. Wait until the engine is completely cool. If you're stranded and genuinely need to, add coolant to prevent driving on an empty system. Use heavy gloves, wrap a thick rag around the cap, face away from it, and open it extremely slowly to release pressure, gradually before removing it. Mistake number 4 is one that confuses a lot of drivers because it looks like it should be fine mixing different colors of coolant. You open the hood, see the reservoir is low, grab a bottle of coolant from the parts store and pour it in without checking what color or type is already in the system. Green and orange, orange and pink, yellow and blue. Different colors look like they should mix without consequence. They don't. The colors correspond to different chemical technologies. And mixing incompatible technologies creates a reaction you don't want inside your engine. Traditional green coolant uses inorganic additive technology, IAT with silicates and phosphates, that form a physical protective layer on metal surfaces. Orange and pink coolants typically use organic acid technology, OAT, which relies on a chemical inhibitor approach that provides longer-lasting protection without the silicate layer. Extended life formulations like HOT are hybrid approaches. When IAT and OAT coolants mix, the chemistries react with each other rather than protecting the metal. The silicates in IAT react with the organic acids in OAT and can form a gel or sludge, a thick, semi-solid deposit that settles in the lowest points of the cooling system and restricts flow. In severe cases, this sludge can clog the radiator, reduce flow through the heater core, and in worst-case scenarios restrict the water pump inlet. If you don't know what type of coolant is in your system, the safe approach is a complete flush with distilled water before adding fresh coolant of the correct type for your vehicle. Your owner's manual specifies the coolant type. Match it exactly. Mistake number 5 is one that comes from good intentions, filling the coolant reservoir all the way to the top. The reservoir is called an expansion tank for a reason. When your engine reaches operating temperature, the coolant heats up and expands in volume. The reservoir needs space to receive that expanded volume. The gap between the full coolant level and the top of the reservoir is that space. It's functional, not accidental. When you fill the reservoir to the very top, eliminating that air cushion, the expanding coolant has nowhere to go. The pressure in the system rises above normal operating limits. Something has to give, and what gives is usually a hose clamp that starts weeping, a hose that was marginal that now develops a full leak. Or in serious cases, stress on the head gasket from sustained elevated pressure. The correct fill level is between the min and max lines on the reservoir, closer to max, but never above it. That's not a suggestion. Range, the upper limit, is there because the system was engineered with that air cushion as part of its pressure management design. The sixth mistake is one that almost nobody checks: the condition of the radiator pressure cap. Most drivers know the cap opens and closes the cooling system. What most drivers don't know is that the cap is an active pressure valve with two functions. The first is to maintain the system at the designed operating pressure. Tipo 14 to 16 PS a baquinha spring-loaded is closed during normal operation. The second is to release pressure if it exceeds the cap's rated limit, protecting hoses and radiator tanks from damage. There's also a vacuum relief valve that opens when the system cools down, allowing coolant to return from the reservoir into the radiator rather than collapsing the hoses inward. When the rubber gasket on the cap hardens and cracks, the cap can no longer hold the correct pressure. Coolant seeps past the gasket. The effective boiling point of the coolant drops because the pressurization that raises it is gone. You get unexplained coolant loss, overheating under load, and sometimes a collapsed lower radiator hose from the vacuum relief failing. A radiator cap costs $8 to $20 if yours hasn't been replaced in the last 5 years, or if you can see cracking in the rubber gasket, replace it. It's the cheapest preventive measure in the entire cooling system. Mistake number 7 is the one that surprises drivers most: pouring concentrated antifreeze directly into the reservoir to top off. Here's how this usually happens. Someone buys a bottle of concentrated antifreeze rather than pre-mixed because it's cheaper per ounce. The reservoir looks low. They pour straight concentrated antifreeze in without diluting it first. The logic seems sound. The antifreeze protects the engine, so more antifreeze should protect it more. Here's why that logic fails. Concentrated antifreeze is ethylene glycol, a chemical that has exceptional properties when combined with water in the correct ratio. Specifically, the correct ratio is 50% antifreeze and 50% distilled water. That mixture has a higher boiling point than either component alone, a lower freezing point than water alone, and a viscosity that allows the water pump to circulate it efficiently through all the narrow passages in the cooling system. When you add straight concentrated antifreeze to a system that's already at the correct mixture ratio, you're shifting that ratio toward a higher glycol concentration. Pure glycol actually has a lower heat transfer capacity than the 50/50ths mixture. Water is the component that does most of the actual heat absorption and transfer. A system running with too high a glycol concentration can paradoxically overheat because the fluid carrying heat away from the engine isn't absorbing or releasing that heat as efficiently as it should. Additionally, concentrated antifreeze is significantly more viscous than a 50/50ths mixture. A thicker fluid creates more load on the water pump, bearings, and impeller. It circulates more slowly through the narrow passages in the cylinder head. The pump was designed to move fluid at the viscosity of the correct mixture, not pure glycol. Running it at excessive viscosity accelerates water pump wear and reduces flow rates. If you need to top off and you have concentrated antifreeze, mix it with distilled water first at a 50/50ths ratio before adding it to the reservoir. If you need a quick top off and don't have time to mix, buy pre-mixed 50/50ths coolant. It's already at the correct concentration and ready to use directly. The eighth and final mistake is one that creates problems after a service, rather than before it, not bleeding air out of the system after adding coolant. Anytime you open the cooling system, whether you're doing a top-off, a flush, or any coolant-related repair, air can enter the system. Air is not a liquid. It doesn't conduct heat the way coolant does, and it doesn't circulate through the system the way coolant does. It finds a high point and sits there. If an air pocket settles near the engine coolant temperature sensor, the sensor may read the air temperature rather than the coolant temperature, giving the ACU false data about engine temperature. You might see the temperature gauge acting erratically, or the fan not cycling correctly, or in worse cases the engine management system making fuel injection decisions based on incorrect temperature data. If an air pocket settles in a coolant passage near the thermostat, it can interfere with the thermostat's operation, preventing it from opening correctly. Every vehicle has a specific procedure for bleeding air from the cooling system after a service. Some vehicles have dedicated bleed screws or valves at high points in the system. Others require you to run the engine with the reservoir cap off until the thermostat opens. You'll see coolant begin to circulate as the bubbles work their way out. Some require the heater to be set to maximum heat to open the heater core circuit and allow air to bleed from that loop. According to Mighty Auto Parts cooling system documentation, a drain and fill procedure, rather than an exchange, may require up to 100 miles of driving to purge all air from the system. Your owner's manual or a vehicle-specific repair resource will tell you the correct bleeding procedure for your vehicle. Skipping this step after adding coolant is how a straightforward top-off job results in temperature fluctuations and overheating that don't seem connected to the coolant service. Here's the complete picture of what correct cooling system maintenance actually looks like. Check the coolant level monthly when the engine is cold. If it's dropping, find out why before adding more. When adding coolant, use only the type specified in your owner's manual. Check the color and type already in the system to confirm compatibility. Never use tap water. Use distilled water for any mixing. Never open the cap on a hot engine. Fill to between the min and max lines, not above max. Replace the radiator cap if the gasket shows any cracking or hardening. If you're using concentrated antifreeze, dilute it to 50/50ths with distilled water before adding to the system. And bleed the air out after any service using the correct procedure for your vehicle. The cooling system is precision engineering operating under significant pressure and temperature ranges. It doesn't reward improvisation. Every one of the mistakes covered today seems minor in isolation. Tap water instead of distilled. Filling a little too full. Not checking the cap. Pouring concentrate straight in. Each one seems harmless until the cumulative effect shows up as a shop visit for a corroded radiator, a failed water pump, or a head gasket failure that runs $2,000 to $3,500 on most vehicles. The coolant is one of the cheapest fluids in your car to keep in good condition. The components it protects are among the most expensive to repair. That ratio makes the cooling system one of the highest return maintenance investments available to any driver. If this changed how you think about your cooling system, hit the like button. Drop a comment and tell me whether you've ever topped off with tap water or mixed different coolant colors. I read every single comment. Subscribe for more honest, practical car information with nothing to sell you and no exaggeration. A lot more is coming.